The shine has come off the gold market. The price of gold logged its biggest two-day decline in more than 30 years recently, tumbling 10.9% to less than $1,300 per ounce. Gold has been gradually falling since hitting a peak of $1,900 per ounce in August 2011. Before the drop, gold had climbed every year since 2001. Interest in gold revived at times in 2014 as concern about slower global economic growth and emerging market sell-off and turmoil in Ukraine and the Middle East stoked demand for a protection of wealth. Yet the price, which reached a 2014 high in March, is still close to where it was at the end of 2013. Gold remains down about a third from its peak, fueling the debate about the lessons of the metal's spectacular fall. While gold miners might have been optimistic that higher prices would finally lift earnings, the metal has fallen again, placing operators in a difficult situation.
We're in a difficult situation whereby we were asking government to intervene not to save the miner, to save the industry.
We're very, very concerned about what is happening, and we're going to push these recovery cost reduction strategies. That's the only way I think we can go, cost reduction strategies, to positively impact on the reduction of international prices for the commodity.
This week on Dorado Shines, you will learn more about the interventions being made in the mining sector by the Government of Guyana to cushion the impact of falling gold prices.
Falling gold prices is a concern to all of us. And as I told you the last occasion, we recognize that, and our programs this year within the Commission particularly, and also the level of the ministry has been to respond to that issue, which we don't think will go away, because we don't control the international, economic conditions that influences that reduction, fluctuation, I would want to put it. We have been responding to this dilemma, put it that way, in many ways, providing duty-free concessions on inputs that goes into the sector, vehicles, spare parts, etc. And we have one of the most critical input into the production process is fuel. And in response to the fuel issue, based on representation made by GDMA, they were given, the organization that is, was given a license to import their own fuel. And one would have thought that that would, in fact, result in substantial reduction by sourcing correctly, where the prices perhaps are the best, given the circumstances.
The request for a fuel importation license was made by the Guyana Gold and Diamond Miners Association to reduce the cost of fuel for miners. This license was granted by the government.
This approval of this license, as I mentioned, was done at a meeting whereby it was chaired by His Excellency the President himself. That was since last year, because we were issued a license last year, October of 2013. So since last year. But I said the idea was, and I think that His Excellency was well intentioned, that this is an incentive, that we will get it and be able to supply fuel at a cheaper cost to miners.
However, despite this step by government, the Guyana Gold and Diamond Miners Association has highlighted some of the challenges associated with being able to procure fuel at a reduced price. Each year, approximately 2,500 tons of gold is mined throughout the world. South Africa leads the world in gold mining, and the US, Russia, Canada, and Australia are also major producers. Gold is distributed widely over the earth, and gold mining is pursued in most countries with some success. Government assisting miners. Small and medium-scale operators benefit from duty-free access to all-terrain vehicles or ATVs, excavators, bulldozers, and other machinery used in the mining industry. These waivers on duty are available to new entrants to the sector and for current miners based on production levels. A message from the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission. Government has also been examining the possibility of reducing the royalties on gold in an effort to ease the hardship currently facing the industry.
At the moment, we are considering a request made by them, by the GTMA, and related reduction of royalties. But you know, that would have an impact on overall foreign exchange situation, and the Commission and the government having budgeted for a certain amount of foreign exchange in the coffers. If you were to do that, compounded with reduced declaration and reduction, you have to find a mechanism now to buffer that. Notwithstanding, we've asked them, we're working together, in fact, with them with a proposal that would mitigate against any disastrous effects resulting from that kind of mechanism. But the request is being given favorable consideration at the moment, but we have to justify it.
We need a reduction of royalty. We are paying 5% royalty plus 2% tax. We are paying 7% gross on production.
GGDMA says this step by government has been taken in the past and can serve to reduce the impact on miners.
The gold price then was $285 per ounce. When it reached there, you paid 4%. As you went down low, you paid 3% until 3%, then we stopped at 2% when it was $260. When the gold went back up, we went back to 5%. So we have that in past, it's a sliding scale. So it existed before.
The Guyana Gold Board has been working to strengthen management, improve security and internal controls, improve staff working environment and compensation, and expand and deepen its intermediation functions. Government assisting miners. A list of 19 suppliers of mining equipment and spares was approved for tax waivers on the importation of this equipment. This will reduce the cost of spares and critical supplies for miners and is an addition to items that are already being imported duty-free, such as pumps, flexes, and matting. A message from the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission. Experts believe that outside of a major economic disaster, a global pandemic, or an escalation in one of the world's political hotspots, gold looks set to struggle for a while yet. Gold prices have fallen more than 7% since October 21. The decline comes as the US dollar continues to strengthen against a basket of major currencies in expectation of stronger growth in the world's largest economy. The Ministry of Natural Resources and the Environment, along with the Guyana Gold Board, continues to monitor the trade of gold and the movements in prices. Guyana is making more lands and resources available for mineral production and investments in the natural resources sector. These initiatives are being pursued in keeping with the country's commitment to protect the environment. Gold prices, like oil, are closely linked to the strength or weakness of the US dollar, and the recent declines in the precious metal have also coincided with US crude oil falling below the critical $80 per barrel level. These and other factors, such as the shift in demand from major buyers such as China, are contributing to the fall in the price for gold.
There are a number of factors that are impacting the decline in gold price currently. The major factor would have been improvement in the U.S. economy and the strength of the U.S. dollar. The US dollar and gold, given their trust and value, they are almost substitute. So you'll find with the strengthening of the US dollar, the demand for gold will decline. There will be an increase in demand for US dollar. The other factor would have been high interest rate in terms of the returns that someone will get, with the expectations that there is no more quantitative easing in the U.S., and that by itself is saying that interest rates will increase. High interest rate means that there is going to be a decline in demand for gold. Decline in demand for gold translates into a decline in the price of gold. Then you also have inflation. There is hardly any inflation in the world, in the U.S., in Europe, and elsewhere. Low level of inflation means that there is no need for gold as something that will hold value and trust. You also have situations where the demand for gold by the major buyers, India and China, they are not growing as they used to before. And in India, there is high tariff, and there is also reduction in the level that jewelers can import. So by itself, there is a decline in the demand.
It is said in the financial papers, where the American dollar is strong, of course. China, one of the major buyers of gold, they're not buying. And it's not buying at the price, and it's kind of surprising because at this price, one would think that the people will buy it, but for some reason, they're not buying. So we just have to wait and see, because we have no control of the price.
In Guyana, the miners are essentially price takers. They have to take the price from elsewhere. And there is indeed widespread market manipulation. Those who have the power elsewhere are manipulating the price so as to ensure that they can benefit in terms of buying low, selling high from time to time. We don't have that privilege in this country.
Despite challenges over the year, the prospects for large-scale gold mining in Guyana are still very real. Notably, the Guyana Gold Fields and Troy Resources projects are set to come on stream in late 2014. The highest price for gold ever recorded was well over $1,800 in August 2011. However, over the past months, the price of gold has wavered between $1,300 and $1,500. Gold miners in Guyana are extremely concerned about this drop in the price. Government assisting miners. The government of Guyana has set aside the sum of $1 billion Guyana dollars for a revolving mercury-free mining development fund as to provide low-cost financing to miners to adopt mercury-free and increased gold recovery technologies. A message from the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission.
The fundamentals will tell you that, hey, prices are not supposed to be below $1,200 because the cost of production is going to be somewhere in the 1,100 mark. And there is supposed to be some return for the miners in terms of some level of profitability. Internationally, one would expect that the price would be above 1,200, anyway hovering between 1,200 to about 1,350. However, you'll find that these commentators now will tell you, hey, there is an upward resistance and there's a lower level to look at, maybe 1,130, 1,140, and people are persuaded by those kinds of destabilizing speculation.
If you operate at $1,800, when you price it $1,800, the cost to say about $1,150, you pass survival, and the industry is suffering.
Already, the effects of the falling gold prices can be seen in some mining districts across the country.
Well, from discussions with fellow miners, some of our larger miners who were having maybe 20, 30 dredges, we told me the larger miners, they cut back by 40%. They maybe have about 20 dredges. Even the smaller miners who had like maybe 4 dredges, they cut back to 2. And they are just working areas that can pay. When gold was $1,800 an ounce, we could have worked some marginal areas and we could have done some prospecting and improvement. But now at 1150, it's most difficult, and some miners are just leaving the equipment in the interior and just park it there and just come out, because the continue to operate at these costs, you incur more losses.
Miners will have to find ways and means of reducing costs, but reduction in costs wouldn't come in the short run. That'll be over a period of time.
We have to look at a different way of mining. We have to look at improvement in the way of mining. For instance, we use mainly the sluice box, which gives you about 40% recovery. We now have to find a way, and we're looking to find that technology. We have to improve recovery from 40% to 70, 80%. And that is what one of the things we concentrated on. We have to find a way of reaching out to the small and medium miner. We have to find a way of showing where he can improve his business, reduce his costs of production. Because we have to find a way for him to survive at these crucial times.
The miners will tell you that, hey, it's become more and more difficult to mine, because once you get rid of where you have the goal, in terms of marginal cost being very low, as you go deeper and deeper, it becomes higher. And so it has become not economic viable for a number of miners.
The Guyana Gold Board, particularly in times like these, seek to act as a stabilizing force for the local gold mining industry.
Guyana Gold Board buys gold at both London first and second fix. And whatever are those fix, the gold board buys miners gold. And therefore, even if the price is declining in the world market, that price remains. So you can go as a miner and sell your gold to the Guyana Gold Board.
It is recognized that better management practices and more cost-effective techniques that yield higher recovery rates depend on education and training. The Guyana Gold and Diamond Miners Association and the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission has been collaborating in this regard.
The GGDMA and the GGMC, we have to work together to find a way how to improve techniques, how to improve recovery. We are looking, we can import the technology, but the problem we have is that we work in different areas. The technology recovery that you may get from America or Canada, they work riverbeds, which is just sand and stone. Right? Now we work clay and mud and whatever. So even though some people have bought that technology, it cannot work on its present form in Guyana, back then. So we have to look at a way of modifying technology, or we have to come up with our own, in order so it could be beneficial for the miner to work under the Guyanese or Guyana conditions.
Gold Miners Association, GGDMA, is that they would have had seminars for their miners to indicate to them the most efficient and effective means of mining, given that the effort would have increased over time and also in terms of the cost. I know from the ministry side they have been putting in place, and in particular through the mining school, to educate miners in terms of the best way forward, especially at this time when there is so many challenges with respect to lower gold prices, increasing the cost of mining.
The Guyana Gold Board provides functional services to other organizations such as the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission, the Guyana Revenue Authority, and the Natural Resources and Environment Ministry. Government assisting miners. The Ministry of Natural Resources and the Environment and the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission continue to undertake the rehabilitation of hinterland roads and infrastructure to ensure mining lands are easily accessible. In this regard, efforts are being made to implement road monitoring checkpoints to ensure that roads are not used indiscriminately, since this results in its deterioration. A message from the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission.
The United Nations Climate Change Conference will be held in Peru from December 1st to the 12th, 2014. This will be the 20th yearly session of the Conference of the Parties to the 1992 United Nations Framework Conference on Climate Change and the 10th session of the meetings of the parties to the 1997 Kyoto Protocol. Minister of National Resources and Environment Robert Prasad will be participating. Minister Prasad gave reasons why Guyana should get involved and be fully informed about ongoing projects as it relates to climate change in an effort to be more prepared.
Why it is we are paying so much attention, why it is we are making so much sacrifice, and we are making sacrifice as a country. If we look in terms of our low carbon development strategy, we have decided on our own to proceed and to move forward with our development along a low carbon pathway. We have not decided to take the route of the other industrialized countries as they have done, where it's led some negative consequences or ravages in terms of the environment. Look at what we're doing in terms of forest management. We have been a leader in terms of identifying and pushing at the issue of avoiding deforestation, because greenhouse gas emission, about 20% or 1/5 of it comes from deforestation or land degradation. And that is why we have said that this is an area, it's a low-cost option, but also because close to 85% of our country is covered in rainforest, we have made it quite clear that we also want to ensure that what we do nationally, and we want the global community to, in terms of how do we manage and utilize forests, that it contributes to forest mitigation. And that is why we have pushed the REDD Plus to reduce emissions through deforestation and degradation, the REDD Plus mechanism. We have been a leader in that. And we've not only mounted, we've not only given it lip service, but we've adopted a national low carbon development strategy. We've been the first country to develop a national scale monitoring, reporting, and verification system in terms of forest related activity. We've been one of the first countries to develop a partnership of the type we have with Norway, whereby because of sound environmental stewardship, the management of our forests, we are able to, as it were, to earn. And we've earned in excess of $135 million so far in terms of what we've been doing in good management of our forest resources. The question is that, yes, we are making sacrifices, but we're making sacrifices, one, not at the expense of our economic growth and development, but we're showing the world and have shown and demonstrated to the world that we can think about the environment, we can think about climate change, but at the same time, we ought not to sacrifice the well-being and economic growth of our country or deny people's opportunity. Because for many years, the view was that if you pay attention to climate change, you're doing it at the cost of human development and of economic growth. Under the low carbon development strategies we've offered, and as a model that is being looked at, and in fact, some have given it some international currency and even supported it. A number of international agencies, multilateral bodies, and even governments have been working with us in how it is they can adapt elements of it and adapt it to their own environment. We have shown that you can have the best of both worlds. And there are few situations where you can have the best of both worlds. Environmental stewardship, economic growth and development. One of it is awareness and sensitization. What we can do, for instance, there was a mangrove project as to how it is that you can protect mangroves because they protect our coastline. That was a good project, and there are elements of it still going on and has to be accelerated. In terms of how do people, how do you deal with issues of drainage within your communities, and you talk about littering and people indiscriminate dumping and the type of material that people use. You refer to styrofoam, plastic, and these are awareness, these are activities that are ongoing and where people do not recognize, I think, enough that these little things contribute in terms of making us as a country much more prepared for the effects, in terms of how people treat our infrastructure at the end of the day. Because, take for instance, someone go and damage one of the cocas can lead to flooding. Yeah. Someone go and erode some riverbank can lead to flooding because of we're dealing with a reality of rising sea level. So there are different localized activities in addition to what we're doing nationally, that communities, citizens can get on board, because we live in that reality. We're shocked, we're affected by it, as many other countries, and that's why for Guyana, a meeting such as this is important, because we also require to galvanize the international community. And one of the important areas of emphasis of this COP20 will be on the RED+. In fact, the first RED+ Day will be celebrated on December the 8th. And it's shown that avoided deforestation now has finally been given the level of support, broad support, based, as I refer to the work that we have done in this regard. And it's an area that we will continue to place emphasis.
Government assisting miners. The Guyana Mining School continues to train persons in entry-level skills for the mining sector, and this increases the pool of human resources available for miners. A message from the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission. Check us out on the internet for this and every episode of El Dorado Shines. Just go to YouTube, search for El Dorado Shines, and start watching. Or like us on Facebook and receive instant updates. You've been watching El Dorado Shines. Do join us again next week for another program. Until then, do remember that we all have a role to play in protecting the environment.